15 of Sheila Carroll with Lisa Dorsey and Brittany Flynn. This is parking committee. First thing is common suggestions, petitions by residents.
Mark Manny, 729.
Come to the.
Mark Maddy, 729 South Penn Street, back in the old section where it's called the old Rosedale Homes back there. Want to make a request to make the south side of East Rosedale, the last block of it, permanent parking. Currently, it's only 9 to 11 on Wednesdays to try to abate, for street cleaning right now. But we've had 2 formerly abandoned properties now occupied and families with children getting cars now. So we felt an increase in vehicles in our own little isolated section back there. So Mike Stefano suggested I kind of make that suggestion tonight. Request.
What's your address again?
729 South Main Street,
Hey,
Penn. My house is the very southeastern corner of,
oh, you know.
except for Moscow, right in front of me.
I'm thinking you were asking voting machines. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I used to go to the county. I used to,
Oh, yeah, that's all when I see it.
Yeah.
Let's speak of the voting.
I used to volunteer on election day.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sean, do we have any issues with this request?
We have any issues with that? No, we did look at it last year.
Isn't this where we put the barricade and parking outside?
Well, the barricade was already there,
Okay.
but what we did was made for tomorrow morning, Wednesdays,
Right.
to abate some of the, during the street cleaning hours.
Yeah, so people could
Yeah.
load over
Yeah.
there.
And at that time, we didn't think it needed to be permanent, but now, like I said, we've had an influx of vehicles.
Did you check with Sue Bain? Because nothing happens without her.
I know, like, she partially told me. She's right across the street.
She told me to show up. I can understand why. Thank you.
Yeah, we did a spatial analysis, we actually pulled the trash truck. We did parking areas, south side of Rosedale. Parking. Oh, so the ordinance is right on what we want. Because that would be a time for street cleaning, correct? Yeah, but then no, it's time for myself. So we probably just have to misalign this sign. Check that out. Yeah, so if you just, if the ordinance is already back, then change the sign.
Sue Bain rules.
With the signs. Site visit. Thank you.
Okay, discussion items, garage monthly report.
Evening, Forrest Freeman with Reef. So numbers for August were nice. We picked up nicely from July. Everything did a nice uptick. Really, I mean, even compared to last year, but last year was still coming out of COVID, so hard to really look at that. But we tend to look back on 2019 as a whole right now. Both facilities together were about 7.5% higher than we were in 2019. Honestly, that's unusual at this point. So kudos to the borough. It's we're seeing everything still about 30% down from 2019. So things are rounding back nicely. The university is back in. Everything's in full bloom. So we anticipate September on being good months. Things have been quiet. If we go to the next slides in terms of they're all showing the upticks. It's revenues on an uptick. You've got your tickets on an uptick. And if we look at the transient revenue, we took a dip in July, as we can see. August again bounce back up again, even going back into last August or above that. So, things are looking nice. Again, garages are filling up. We have waiting lists again, for parkers. We'll be analyzing a little bit. That just picked up again. So, but yeah, again, everything is moving along nicely. Garages are filling up. Knock on wood, things are fine. Thank you. Have a good night.
Director's report.
Very much. Bringing up the information. I'm going to comment a little bit about stuff. Same thing what we're talking about. Talk a little bit about budget. Also more planning. But we go to the next slide. One after. The spreadsheet you should be familiar with at this point. The bottom line here is the three major revenue items: tickets, meters, and garages. Garages are plus 22%. At this point here over budget. We're kind of right about our budget. There's a slide. We're doing about 7% better than we thought we would by this time of year. For me, I want my budgets to be, especially with big numbers, like $5 or 5%. So factor that in next year. I'll be a little closer to the 7%. Really, what's the good news? I guess it's good news, right? It's that our garage revenue. On to the next slide. I'd like to maybe start talking about that. But this is a little hard to see, so possible I'll make that. Little power line stuff. But it was one of the attachments we sent. There are some minor changes I'm proposing in the parking department. As we don't know, it's responsible for managing the parking. So, either on street parking, we have a few small street surface lots and those other driveways. Our staff coordinates the maintenance and planning of these pieces of infrastructure. Also, coordinate the reports. Issue a violation in some of the rules of procedure and proper timing of citing of the violations to what I've learned is that you don't consequence for not paying your tickets sooner or later. But the borough does a very good job of reporting things to local courts that hear these cases. That's a little bit about what the department does. Funding the borough. We have been going the last couple of years with, I'll call it path director. That's been part of my time. And it's proven to be something that will change. It's sustainable. For a manager or services director. So yeah, we're doing some reorganization next year. The Portland manager position. Public policy. How we start to implement some of those recommendations from the 20 market study, but also manage the data operational aspects of who is doing your staff. those kinds of day-to-day functions that I don't have a lot of. Personnel. I think we can fold that into our services director. Other than that, the service clerk, and enforcement officer staffs stay the same that they are currently. The position for full-time. Full-time, there are 3 full-time service clerks. So total full-time equivalent of 12 employees and coming off last year. 12. I think this will make the most sense for leadership in the department too, which not name are going to have some. A lot of my department. It's just what needs to happen, so I'm prepared to do that. But when we do hire a director, that person is going to report directly to managing policy and capital. All of the contracts with their vendors. Team, which we're from. The parking department has some equipment, except for 4 vehicles and a pickup truck. 3 of those vehicles are leased vehicles. Experienced a lot of those. Good in terms of fuel efficiency, those cars stay idle or short distance. We replaced our handheld enforcement devices, which are basically cell phones wrapped in a sled. So for next year, what we're thinking about, that's not accurate numbers that are highlighted on our budget right now. So to speak, our project management team introduced us to for new payment technology and creative providers. Payment technology. That's what I think about that strips. Barcode or some other readable scan by the device. Pay for your barcode either. It validates that. It's more reliable technology, and we get to very experienced barcode. It also allows us to manage vendor relationships a lot easier and integrate parking into experiences. I'm excited about that, but I'm waiting on the number to plug into the budget. I think I've got enough to cover that. Potential pushing of skill coding. But the seal coating needs to be done on the roof, but it was a chestnut. That's not study for the you got it if you want it, but there's samples of the concrete. Indicates the presence of salt in the concrete. Salt. Corrodes the steel that's in there, and then you get a big rock. So they call for second floor, but the floor right beneath the that, and I have some money. It's capital, for your deal, percent. On the budget. So just a little bit out, I have to rethink my, salary expenditures. Something worth mentioning is transfer to general fund. I think in budgeting conversations, we have limited time together, we need to concentrate on the thing that kind of work our way down. So, one of the biggest expenditures in parking is subsidies. Showed out, it's not, I think, the last expensive. Project that increasing about 13% this year. Okay, so we have strong confidence that expenses are controlled and our revenue will gradually trend up. So right now, we're operating at about 88% pre-pandemic revenue. I'm not aggressive with that assumption, but I still think we can work to the parking fund can still afford to transfer $2 million to the general assistance. Talking at that point, not a 10%. What the five-year outlook is for operating expenses in the borough, spoke a little bit. Certain departments' expenses are going up because they're already very salary increase, so on and so forth. But how are you going to deal with that expanding costs? There's a limit to how much money you can transfer from the parking general fund before you have to start raising more revenue. I would bring that up to maybe probably won't happen next year, it might happen the year after that. Maybe the next council, but somewhere on the short term horizon, we have to have a conversation. How are we? People who come here and spend to store the cars here. And I think the latter is about how the solution to the market sustain. So a 25% increase for hourly rate of parking for present college. So you can't keep raising the parking rates forever. But maybe we could do some congestion pricing. Need to really look at revenue picture and all that valuable space downtown. There's no rate increase for budget parking, but I want you to plant that seed in your heads for some time now. And I also want to, we didn't talk about it in the wastewater presentation. Strange equipment. The transfer from the sewer fund to think that the support we have, that we don't have the necessary support to make the need. There was a reduction in the transfer of the wastewater budget. Another reason why we thought that was possible is that a little bit of parking. That's a little more parking. Will run out of two big levers that are moving a little bit. So this budget needs a little more work. with salaries, with capital, I think we're not far away from nailing this down. It's a really well targeted budget. You know where you get budgeting and you make your best guess, but there's certain types of expenditures that are more involved. Just one or two people suing. Cost. And although we don't have a lot of equipment, parking, everything, do in other departments have. So that's another one that can be pretty volatile, but I'm pretty confident we have good numbers in here. We have to look at. See, Will Williams is the least favorite person I have. But in case of the bad news, our electric generation costs are going roughly 4 fractions. 7 distribution transmission. So you're joining the rest of tell electric. Those of us who the partners. Sorry, take questions about parking.
Thank you. I'm looking at this ridiculously simply and saying if garages are doing that well and we have this much building going on, when do we build our next garage?
I don't know when, but we figured out the where. The 2018 study points to lot number 10 as a devout appreciator of the farmers market. See if that's some.
I want to take a street down the shut down Gate Street. Thank you for the report. Gonna move on. That was all the budget, correct? We're gonna move on to D, which is consider establishing a loading zone, short-term parking zone at the Westchester line.
Hi, I'm Victoria Dow. I'm the director of the Westchester Public Library, and the board and I are the ones who have requested that. The board's been working on whatever they can do to solve some parking problems. It's an issue for us, and yes, we're in the borough. We are where we are. We've been there for 130 some years. That's not going to change. I know that a snapshot was done, you know, I guess, I don't know, twice a day or something like that. And that Sean, it was 85%, I think, was the usage parking, something like that. So, I mean, it's not that people can't find parking, all right? Somebody who wants to come in and be there for a while is fine. The ones who have a problem are the people who have an item to pick up at the main desk. They know it's there. We've called them, we've emailed them, texted, whatever. They want to park close. They want to run in there. They hand us the card, we hand them their item, and they're out the door. I mean, it's a 2-minute transaction. And for those people, parking can be an issue. Because there might not be anything on Lafayette Street. There might not be anything right up on Church Street. There might be something available up above Marshall Street. But when you you know, when you've got it in your mind, all I need to do is pick up a hold. That's, you know, that's inconvenient. And we have heard from people, we had one email this year, somebody who just said, you know, well, I'm not coming back because I couldn't find a parking spot just to pick up a hold. You know, I had a comment on our Google page just today, you know, it's a cute library, is there a parking lot? Well, no, there isn't. But this is, it's a perennial problem. So the loading zone, you know, I don't know how enforcement would work. Not even sure exactly where you recommended to put it. That's one item. The second item is Lafayette Street, that 000 block between North Church and North High Street. That is during the week, 9 to 5, I believe, is 2-hour parking. The sign for that is completely obscured. If you don't, if people don't even know to look for it, and even if they did look for it, you can't see it right now. So there's some tree trimming that needs to happen so people can see that. You know, if I ruled the world, I would put a second sign just past Martha Carson Gentry's driveway, which is the first one that you encounter, because there are another 3 nice spots there, and that's a very visible place. The other thing that would be enormous help is if the street, at least the first part from the corner of North Church Street into Martha's driveway, and then from Martha's driveway down to Prutzman's driveway, if spaces were marked. Okay, I mean, you know, sometimes people get it and you get 4 cars in the first part and 3 cars in the second part. And other times you're lucky if you get 3 in there, just because, you know, I mean, somebody left and somebody else kind of, you know, did the best they could parking. But it would really help if there was something that said, oh, you know, this is a parking spot. Okay. As I said, you know, people in Westchester are really lucky they don't live in Philadelphia. So that's basically our request right now. So I don't know what is possible, you know, what requires ordinances and changes, but that's our request. Any questions?
I think that I understand what you're asking for. Sean, do you have any insight into what is possible and what is not possible in this situation?
Plans can be trimmed, so that's.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an easy one.
Where that is, and we can get that directed. If you were to establish, if council decided you wanted to establish other short-term purposes and your practice then. Once you establish a regulation, that's fine, that's great. But it only means something you can use it. Or enforce it, right? Violations. Exciting. That's the mechanism.
If we decide to do it, we need to ask. We brought it.
Lastly, I would strongly encourage you not to. Restrict spaces. Making our cars a lot bigger these days, but there are some people still drive smaller cars.
It's just, you know, when I look out the window sometimes, the other thing I will say is enforcement of the 2-hour parking. That can stand to be improved too. I mean, I know Mondays for street cleaning, there's no problem. But the rest of the week, it's hit or miss, and I know that I mean, I've seen it. I've seen, vans that have been there the whole day. From businesses uptown, and workmen who've also parked in that area. That could help the project.
And Sean, if someone at the library is witnessing that, can they call that in?
But you can call it in, but, start the hour clocks. Got a method in the hand. That's the evidence we need for.
It's really hard to say because, often people they won't say anything, they just won't come back. Do you know what I mean? I mean, the fact that we had an email this year specifically directed, somebody actually sought out my email to write a message and say, hey, here's the problem, was unusual. That's the only one I've gotten this year, but I know that it's an issue for people. Well, here's another example. We have a service area that's larger than just borough. So Westtown Township is one of them. And we went down there in August to make a presentation to them. And one of their supervisors said the same thing. I don't use your library because I can't park.
It's not unique to the library, though. It's to the borough at large.
I know, and it's kind of, it's almost as if he was saying, why should we can't park there, why should we support you? Kind of thing. It's a difficult situation. I mean, there are a lot of people who come there. I mean, we had story times this morning, 3 of them. It's 12 families per session. And they all managed. I mean, they're coming in with toddlers, preschoolers, infants, and they managed to do just fine. And, Tuesday morning until 11 o'clock, you can't park on the one side of the street.
It's sort of around right? So there's one complaint. I live 2 blocks from both libraries, so I can walk, so I'm spoiled.
Right.
But to your point, you had waiting and living and with children able to, children,
And again, it's if you're there for a longer period of time, you're looking for a different kind of parking. And you're willing to say, yeah, okay, I'll park up there by Barclay Park. That's no problem. But the people who they're in, they're out again, and that goes on all day long. I'm sure you've seen that.
I like the additions to the patio.
Pardon?
I like the additions to the patio, to the tables.
Yeah.
and the chairs, yeah.
Well, I hope you'll come to Oktoberfest.
Thank you.
I have no issue here.
So I'm hearing resistance to these thoughts. I will say, as a young mom, I was at the library all the time. I did story times. Years, wonderful. I left, no problem walking a block or 2. Sometimes I would park farther away just for the walk because I live a bit of a distance. But dropping off books is a pain. And just putting books in those boxes, I'm not going to say that I always park legally to do that. If there was a spot available, I could just pop in and drop my books and get back in. I almost never do holds because gone in and out. I do think that our borough has been changing. I grew up on Washington Street there and walked all the time. I walked from across town with my kids. The larger population to begin with the restaurant-centered town and sort of side areas where we try to establish parking spots and temporary parking spots, and we need to improve all of that. I don't think this is a bad thing. I would, if it takes away from residential parking that is necessary, then that's a bad thing. I'm not hearing that. I'm just hearing why more, and I want more of a reason why not. Why not try?
I didn't mention, I mean, that's obviously it's in a residential area.
Nope. It doesn't matter also.
And there, you know, there are some folks that, off-street parking. Mentioned Gentry. Yeah, but there are, and there are a couple of apartments. So, I think it's locally unique impact, not just to the private users, but residents. Their ability to park.
Well, you know, I think that from our side, it was a matter of us doing due diligence of, okay, here's what we've come up with. Present that and then, yeah, I mean, you know, you have a wider picture to look at, more things to consider. Yeah. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I advertised it with Google, like, all I knew, everything there. Why is old and drop off, people parking on the pavement? Yeah, we're right in the door.
We're gonna move on to approve the August 2022 meeting minutes. Then approve the Hammond New Street Lot Number 6 parking use renewal agreement.
Raise the price.
Any questions? Any comments, Sean?
Same price.
Raise the price for a while, yes. Well, you lose 2 years to COVID. So everything is like back to 2019. So I don't think we've raised prices since 2018. Well, then, I'm not positive, but we have raised them in the parking garages. But the other stuff, sky's the limit. Or the other ones, we've raised. Get anything? Yeah. The COVID years, we didn't do a whole heck of a lot of anything. So my guess would be 2018, but that's not going to be. County has more money than we do. And they need this.
Discussion about this, when taking up.
Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned at